Welcome to our Devil. Today we are taking a look at entitled parents. Our first story is from Future Butterscotch 9. Where did you learn to speak English? England? This story took place 5 months ago. So it won't be exactly word for word. But I've remembered enough of the event to recite it, blah blah blah, you all have heard it before. So my stepmom is British. Welsh to be exact. For those who don't know, Wales is the little hump west of England and north of Cornwall. It's a beautiful place known for sheep, alcohol, and mistakes involving sheep and alcohol. My stepmom is ethnically Welsh, but raised in England. Despite this, my Nine and Tade, Welsh for grandma and grandpa, insisted on her and her brother learning Welsh to preserve their heritage. The Welsh are a proud people, and so they wanted to ensure their children were as immersed as they could be. So she grew up bilingual, went to uni, got a job working for a certain tech giant, and moved to the US to help train their staff. A few years later she met my dad and joined the family. At the time I was still getting over my mom, so her presence was less than welcome. Despite this, my stepmom never pushed me or tried to buy her way in. She gave me the room I needed to grieve, and, when I was ready, showered me with enough affection to make up for the lost time. She has my eternal love and respect for it, and has become my second mother. Now, we live in a large town in the Midwest, being west of the seaboard but east of the Mississippi. So while most people are open to outsiders, there's the usual few who just want to ruin everything. Around Christmas time, I was visiting home from college with my girlfriend, Charlie, whose awesomeness has been detailed in another post. Enjoying some quality girls' time with my stepmom. We were in the mall, searching for some place that sold plastic modeling glue for my dad. He's really into Warhammer. During this my stepmom is on the phone with her brother, who still lives in the UK, catching up and sharing some laughs. They were speaking Welsh to each other, which happened to offend a woman who has since earned the title of Karen. We were standing in front of the mall map, trying to find the hobby store when I heard a loud scoff from behind us. I turned to see a woman dressed in a rather nice-looking business suit corralling her kids away like they'd just encountered a streaker. Now I was ready to let it go. But Charlie can get very defensive of people she likes. So she ended up calling her out. "Something offend you, ma'am?" She seemed to ponder her next move before responding with that oh-so-stupid phrase. "You're in America. When you're here, you speak English, not Muslim." My kids don't need to hear that. Now I've met some pretty stupid people in my life. Even dated one. But never, ever have I heard of someone confusing Welsh for Arabic, which is what I assumed she meant. They're two very different languages from two very different cultures. The only similarities between them is how little I understand them. However, for someone to be so offended by someone speaking another language, they probably also didn't immerse themselves too much in other cultures. To her, the world probably began in New York and ended in Los Angeles. It was at this point that my stepmom hung up. "Now I know that Americans get a bad rap and all," she said in an obvious British accent. "But it doesn't help when you actively conform to the stereotype." "Oh my God," Karen said with righteous indignation. "Your accent is awful. Where did you even learn to speak English?" My stepmom held the most deadpan expression she could. "England." I swear I could smell the smoke coming from the flaming mess inside Karen's skull. She looked at Charlie and I, a pair of shockingly Caucasian college brats, and then my stepmom, our even paler chaperone. Took a moment to process what she was doing, and then walked away, dragging a group of embarrassed-looking tweens with her. I have to give her credit. At least she knew when to quit. My stepmom chuckled, muttered an offensive-sounding Welsh phrase, and then helped us scan the map for the hobby shop. The rest of the day went well, and we had a funny story to tell my dad when we got back. To all my bigots out there who get offended when someone speaks another language, get over yourselves. The world doesn't revolve around you. To all my bilingual friends out there who speak their native tongues, good for you. It's important to keep your culture alive. And to Karen, next time you try to accost someone for speaking something other than English, at least get the right continent. Much love. Comment by Lychee Male 92. This had me laughing so much. Your stepmom handled the situation well. Comment by Ekiflump. The only reason people get offended when they hear another speaking in a language they do not understand is because it prevents them from exercising their God-given right to be a nosy little shit and listen in. Comment by John Lawiest. For some reason, this reminds of another story on this subreddit. When a teacher gave bad grades to a student because he was using the British writing of some words. And Big Mama brought a Cambridge dictionary and slammed on the teacher's desk. But damn this lady. I find it ridiculous that some Americans can't take that. Not everyone that speaks another language is an illegal immigrant or is speaking Arabic. Our next story is from Nagel93. Can you use your vacation days to watch our dog while we take a real vacation? So first a little background. This happened about 3 to 4 years after I moved out of my parents' house and have been living independently. Then one day I get this string of texts from my mom. Mom. Hey. How have you been doing? What you up to 2 weeks from now? Me. I've been doing alright. I've started lifting weights and exercising more. I don't think I'm doing anything too exciting next week. Why you ask? Mom. Perfect. Me and boyfriend are going on a trip and need you to house sit and watch the dogs for us. Me. Sorry, but I can't just leave for a week, Mom. Please. The dogs miss you and I'd really hate to put them in the kennel. Me. Sorry, but I have a job. I can't just go missing for a week, Mom. Why can't you drive to work from my house? Me. Because it's a 2.5 hours commute each way, Mom. You have vacation days. Right? Just use them. Me. No, Mom. Please. I'd feel really bad about putting dog's name in the kennel. You know how much she hates it. Me. You obviously don't feel that bad about doing it. Then I hear nothing from her until the day before they have their trip. Mom. Hey. We're leaving for our trip today and I was wondering when you were going to be here? I want to show you some things before we leave. Me. What part of our last conversation gave you any idea that I agreed to this? Mom. That's very rude of you and no way to speak to your mother. Now can we expect you here by 5? And at that point I just put my phone on silent and stopped talking to her. Edit. My landlord doesn't allow pets. So I couldn't keep them for a week. Also, the dogs went to the kennel and came out just fine. However, this all happened a while ago and both dogs have passed since then. One to stomach cancer. The other to old age ill. Miss you. Dog's name and other dog's name. Comment by Trinumber53. Comment by Linankasi. Years ago my mom boarded pets. Usually dogs and cats, although we got the occasional bird. I forget what we charged. We had one rich retired woman who would board her cat with us. Usually for a week or 2 at a time. She always tried to wheedle a bargain. We would cut breaks for longer periods of time. After a while she tried to demand more and more breaks. Finally she got to the point where she was trying to pay only about 1/5 of what we charged. My mother refused. This bitch went and had the cat put down rather than pay a higher rate. My mother was infuriated but bided her time. I don't remember the exact chronology of events but she called us up again because she had another cat she wanted us to board. I think it was someone else's that she had agreed to watch but for some reason had to go out herself. She actually showed up on our doorstep wanting to board the cat. Mom refused. She got huffy. The cat had pooped its box. She had gotten a bunch of Kleenex and picked up the poop and tried to hand it to my mother. Mind you, the box was on the ground between the two of the women. My mother ground the S into the handle, picked up the box by the sides and handed it back to this cow. The verbal assault from my mother onto this woman was legendary. Cat and just lit to her. Comment by Throwaway 41790. Well, I felt sorry for dogs. She really need get good pet sitter or paid you. She sound like toxic to try guilty trip on you. And she tried to control you. Really shame on her. You did right for stood up. Our next story is from I Love Me 39. Entitled Parents. Leave everything you have to our children. I'm 39. Successful and am quite well off. My siblings, sadly, are not. My brother, 42, has 3 children. My sister, 35, also has 3. With one on the way. My youngest sister, 28, is married and pregnant. But she had nothing to do with the events of this post. We were all raised to believe that money doesn't matter and all you need is a happy marriage and lots of kids to live a happy life. Being poor and having lots of kids was somehow glorified. Maybe because that's the way our parents lived and wanted to convince themselves that they didn't duck up. Fortunately for me, I didn't buy into that nonsense. I always knew I never wanted children. I focused on my career and on achieving success. Today I have my own house, wonderful pets and a loving boyfriend. My family, however, seems to think that there's something wrong with my lifestyle. My parents have often commented that my 5-bedroom house is empty without any kids running around. My siblings often tell me I'm selfish for not having kids and actually enjoying my life. However, their disdain for my selfish lifestyle doesn't stop them from begging for money. My brother and sister have called me and asked me to help pay their bills. Now, if it's something serious like clothes or school supplies for their kids, I'm willing to pitch in. But I always refuse when I'm asked to pay for trips to amusement parks, etc. I also paid for my parents to stay in a high-end assisted living facility. They're my parents. I felt that I owed them this much. I have moved them to a less luxurious facility because of something horrible they did. I'll make a post about that too, if you're interested. However, I couldn't help but feel insulted when they sang praises for my siblings for breeding and following in their footsteps and how my parents wish I had done the same. As if, among all their kids, I'm the biggest disappointment. For this reason, I've distanced myself from them. I only call or visit to check up on them and don't let them be a part of my life. The other day, I got a call from my sister asking if her husband, my brother and his wife could come over. I said okay. They asked me to leave my fortune to their kids, in equal portions, and if I did, they would stop asking me for financial help. They said this as if they were doing me a favor. You don't have kids, so who are you gonna leave it to? Asked my brother. I told them I was going to leave my money to charities and that I don't owe them shit. When they went on the "you're selfish" tirade, I told them to get lost. The next morning, I got a call from my dad telling me they were disappointed in me. I simply hung up. The one family member who has stood by me is my youngest sister. She actually has her shit together and I could not be more proud of her. Edit. Here's what my parents did to deserve the downgrade. After the altercation with my siblings, my parents tried a different strategy. They tried to sweet talk me and suddenly their tune had changed from, "You're so selfish," to, "Ah, we didn't mean it. Let's talk." So, after they kept pestering me, have a word with them in person. I invited them over. Now my parents know damn well that chocolate is bad for dogs. But my mom has tried to give them some on many occasions. When I tell her off, she always comes back with, "But maybe they like it," and, "I was just being nice." This time when they came over, I left them in the living room and went to the kitchen to get some refreshments. While I was there, one of my dogs came over to greet them. I could see them from the kitchen. My mom petted him for a while, then reached into her purse and pulled out a bar of chocolate. She broke off a piece and was about to give it to him when I stormed over and knocked it out of her hands. My parents looked shocked. I was enraged. Even after being told repeatedly that chocolate is bad for dogs, they just didn't get it. When I asked my mom what the hell she was doing, my dad actually started yelling at me and told me I was being rude. I told them either they were complete idiots or they were intentionally trying to hurt my dog. I told them I was sick of their BS, and that they were on very thin ice with me. When they tried to argue back, I grabbed my dad by the arm and walked him out the door. My mom followed. This was less than a month ago and a few days ago. They were moved to a much less cushy facility. They won't be mistreated. I would never allow that to happen. But all they'll have are nutritious meals, medical care and a television they'll have to share with the others. The nice fully furnished mini apartment they had earlier with all kinds of luxuries will soon be a distant memory. Edit 2. To all those assuming I'm a man, I'm actually a woman. Comment by Robin with a Y. My own sister just told her kids that when my husband and I die we are leaving everything to them because we don't have kids. First thing is she didn't even think about my husband having nieces and a nephew. Second thing is she didn't talk to us about this. No, we are not leaving anything to her kids. Edit. The reason we are not leaving my sister's kids anything has nothing to do with what my sister told them about us leaving everything to them. Both of them have addiction problems and have repeatedly refused offers from us and other family members to get them treatment. Sadly, I feel there is a very good chance that my husband and I will outlive both of them. If they should get help and get clean, we would revisit the situation. Comment by Mods R. Wads. Make absolutely sure you have a will written ASAP by the best lawyer so they can't contest your will should something happen to you. You have to specifically write out relatives. It also helps to enclose documentation on why. Such as a list of the times you've bailed them out, saying that they already spent their share of your money. Comment by Akio Amadio. I highly doubt they would stop asking you for money. Once you signed the papers, I'm sure it would start up again that very week. I don't think they see you as family. Since you don't own up to the family lifestyle, they treat you like less than family and more like an ATM. It's your money and you can do whatever you want with it, and honestly it would terrify me that they were asking me to will my money to their kids because you're only 39. Are they expecting you to die suddenly so your will would pay for their kids' colleges or something? Your brother is actually older than you too, and sister only 1 year behind. It's a personal choice to have children, and you should never bring a child into this world if you don't want kids. It only causes trouble in the end, so you are being responsible and knowing your preference on the subject. I want kids, but not like my sister who has had 4 and is constantly struggling and deep in debt because of this too. She also asks for money from me and other family members, but I have recently cut her out of my life completely because I just cannot support her financially or emotionally anymore. Move them into a lesser assistant living center. It must have been bad. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, smash the like button, and subscribe to our Devil. See you in the next one.